Joining in right now, Naren Shah, MD and head of Norwest Venture Partners India office joins in on the show right now. Naren, hi, good morning. Hope you're doing well and trying to stay home as much as possible. Good to have you on the show.
Delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Naren, all and every conversation with all of us this morning, or every morning rather, is around the geo deals that have been struck. Facebook, Google, and 11 other checks that they have bagged. Has it really brought about fresh excitement in the entire PE and VC space with regards to Indian telecom and digital?
It has actually. I think, in fact, I would say that this has been unprecedented. Getting about $30 billion odd dollars, which Reliance has got across. I don't think that kind of deal has happened anywhere in the world. And the speed at which they did that, right, and the potential of India to deliver to digital and as well as telecom, I think that is just staggering.
Would you say, Naren, that this is a Reliance specific thing, or are you seeing the excitement flow through to digital startups as well?
So I think what's happening is that India is at that part of the curve, right? If you look at sort of China 8 years ago, right? I think the market cap of companies was hardly sort of 150 billion dollars in digital, right? And at sort of, if you look at it about 6 months ago, pre-COVID, and actually it's back with COVID as well, it's about $4 trillion. So I think India is at that space where I think the next 8 to 10 years are just going to be absolutely fantastic from a digital standpoint. So I think India is coming of age. Of course, our GDP per capita is much lower than China. So I don't think we're going to create $4 trillion of market cap. But could we aim to create 800 billion to $8 trillion of market cap on the digital side? I think absolutely. And I think what Reliance has done is that they've understood the potential and of that, and they've geared the entire business towards digital, obviously driven by telecom. And my view is this was just the beginning of a strong slew of announcements and deals which they're going to do, whether it's at the platform side or the Reliance retail side, whether it's about WhatsApp or sort of building a WeChat like super app. So these are all going to be in the pipeline and sort of good things to come for Reliance Jio.
Today, the other big disruption is happening in the food delivery space. Post-lockdown, all of us have ordered in more and are bound to do so more and more going forward as well. You're a large investor in Swiggy yourself, and we at ET now understand that the food delivery business is about to get disrupted with the entry of now Google and third parties like a Dunzo will be doing the actual delivery. What is Amazon and Google's entry going to mean for players like a Swiggy as well as Zomato?
So I think this is a very large market. I think Google is, I mean, it's more Dunzo. I think Google is an investor in Dunzo. I don't think Google is entering this space. I think Amazon has done a few trials in Bangalore. But if you really look at, I mean, I sit on the board of Swiggy, and to that extent, I would say that, yeah, Swiggy is doing really well. I think what we've done in the COVID or post-COVID is we recognize that the unit economics needed to improve. And that has sort of been, that's happening. And we're finding that after an initial sort of tough start post COVID, people are ordering more and more on Swiggy. So we are certainly seeing that benefit, coming back. And I think these are very large brands, right? So it's going to be sort of, if consumers really love them, I think they're going to be very tough to disrupt. So there is a bit of a, there is a pretty significant head start. And of course, we will continue to welcome competition.
Sure. But what about financial viability with such large players entering the market, as big as it may be and as much space there may be for each and everyone to coexist? Do you think it could be a possibility that perhaps a Zomato and a Swiggy will have to merge eventually at some space? What I'm trying to get at is, are you going to or bound to see consolidation within this sector as well?
So it's very hard to sort of call, what might eventually happen. I mean, as private equity investors, we do want an exit at some point of time. But at least at this point of time, it just appears that I would say both the delivery players are doing quite well and coming back. I think Swiggy has got a reasonably large sized bank balance. So I don't think I would say we're too worried about competition. We're really only worried about our customer and making sure that they get the sort of best variety of food, and with amazing delivery stats. So that's really what sort of everyone is focused on. And whereas, if you look at this globally, right, like China and US, the delivery players are more than 100% back, in COVID. So this is one of those businesses which I call COVID tailwind. So, with the sort of longer duration of COVID, these will have strong tailwinds. And now with the unit economics very much intact, I think Swiggy is well positioned in my mind.
Morning, Avan joining in as well. Apart from this, we've seen a lot of financial companies, even within the listed space, that are looking for fundraising. Do you
Right.
think that at this current juncture, PEs will play anchors for some of these funds' needs?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we've seen in the PE market is that there's been sort of a recalibration. So PEs do look, they keep glancing at the public markets because eventually a lot of these markets are going to have exits, right, to the public markets through an IPO. So what I found is that PEs are sort of looking at now while the markets have recovered, on the Nifty side, mid market has not yet recovered. So you're still seeing about 30-40% declines in a lot of places, especially financials. So my sense is that a lot of PEs are gravitating towards preferential allotments and QIPs, so they will be looking at doing deals, primary deals in the public markets, at least in the next 6 to 12 months during this pandemic phase. And I think that to that extent, valuations have recalibrated both in the public markets as well as the private markets, because people are bracing for an extended period of a pandemic. And I think slowly and steadily we're sort of reaching that new normal where people are willing to, entrepreneurs are willing to do transactions as well as PEs are willing to sort of, talk deal again. Now, financials is one of the last things because of the moratorium. What has happened is it's very hard to really assess what kind of NPAs financials have until the sort of moratorium is over in August. But I suspect there will be a spate of deals starting sort of July and August and going all the way up to December, where, like I said, valuations have recalibrated. There are huge opportunities in public markets to do primary deals, pipe deals, and at the same time, even in private markets, where financials do need capital to get back on track, in terms of new deployments. So I expect a lot of deals in that space in the next 6 to 12 months.
China as well, this whole issue really plays a big part. At a time like this, do you think that the PE VC community can look to position themselves as an alternate to Huawei, perhaps exploit the China West thaw? Is this an opportune time?
Yeah, Van, I think that there are a lot of companies today in India which are going to start filling the vacuum which China is leaving behind. We're seeing this globally where, there is a lot of security concerns and you look at just Reliance Geo, and what they're doing with 5G, etc. So my sense is that you'll increasingly see global companies coming from India where they will say that, look, we'll trial the market in India. The market in India is still small, but the global market is where we're sort of aspiring to be. And we are already seeing that in the SaaS space in venture capital, where a lot of SaaS companies coming from India really cater to the US market or the global market. We recently saw some companies in edtech where like teaching children coding at home. Now homegrown companies are doing a fabulous job doing that in the US, over a Zoom call, right? So my sense is that you will see a lot more opportunities while there is this whole force of deglobalization which is happening where people are moving away from China and stuff like that. I think there is still going to be a big opportunity because that is going to be so calibrated that Indian companies are going to be able to fill in that vacuum over the next couple of years. And India has a very strong standing just as an English speaking democracy, especially in the US and Europe. And so I think we're very well positioned. I would also add that this whole Prime Minister's Atmanirbhar and Make in India, I think could really bear a lot of fruit now. And this is a big opportunity for startups. I would say not only startups, but even large groups, large Indian groups should significantly now consider making in India to sort of, sell overseas, and especially in the technology domain. I really think that would help.
Sure. What about on the valuation front as well? Post the lockdown, and given that we're seeing certain deals fast-tracked, what's the outlook looking like as well? I mean, apart from Reliance Jio, what are some of the other kinds of deals you think we could anticipate? Will it actually turn out to be a record year, given that some people are striving to make the most of this time?
Things are a little bit slow right now outside of Geo. It is going to be a absolutely record year because of the whole Reliance Geo deals. Like I said, that's unprecedented. But I think the second half of the year, you will see a lot more deals. What's happening on valuation, like I suggested, that there are tale of two cities, right? In the venture capital technology stage, what we are finding is that things like edtech or digital, they are starting to really take off. So April was a very bad month for everybody. But if you look at June, a lot of companies are back to, like, I would say 70, 90% of what they used to be. And they are very well positioned